My research is on genre-based writing for ELs. And so let's start with, what is genre? Genre is what categorizes a text, film, art, things like that. Movies, TV shows, books, academic writing, all of those things fall into different genres. Genres sort all the different types of writing, groups them by their commonalities, what they're written for, what they're about, different things like that. Genre gives us a lens for understanding what makes writing effective in different situations. What may be effective in some genres may be ineffective in another, and that's why it's important to understand different genres. Genres do things. They are responsive to different situations, and they're not defined by their form, but instead by their purpose. Genres are defined by the action that they aim to carry out. So, for instance, the argumentative essay, that's a genre. The action that those essays are trying to do is they're trying to argue for or against something. We know that genre is an important part of language learning. When we view writing as occurring largely through genres, we shift away from overgeneralized and static rules about writing. So when we focus on genre, it turns our attention to the purpose of the text, the readers, the writers, the context, the related expectations for the form and content. It really draws you into thinking about it as a whole, not just what's the vocabulary we're using, or not just looking at the grammar, but we're also looking at why we're writing, what kind of tools we're using as we write, who are we writing this for? What are we trying to accomplish with our writing? Those kinds of things. So we know that writing is important. We know that it can be even more difficult for our EL students. It's even more demanding in their second language because our ELs have to develop the linguistic features of the second language and the writing expertise at the same time. And they're still developing their L1 because they're students. They haven't mastered their first language yet. So it's really hard for them to still be trying to build on their L1 and learn all of the things that they have to learn in English too. And we also know that the L1 and L2 are related. This is called the theory of multi-competence. In this theory, languages are viewed as different representations of a reservoir inside the bilingual's brain, which share many similarities. In this theory, the existence of an acquired L1 skill in an EL's brain will pave the way for learning of that same skill in English, or the other way around. So if a student knows how to argue really well or write poetry really well in their first language, then having that ability in their first language, it's going to be easier for them to carry that skill over into English because they already have the skill in the first language. Whereas, and it goes the other way too, if you're really good at doing something in English, you're going to have an easier time transferring that skill into another language. So one way that scholars have attempted to make writing more approachable for EL students is through genre-based writing instruction. It focuses on the features of each genre while instructing writing in order to make sure that learners are aware of the building blocks of each genre. In a context where genre-based approaches are employed, learners might use that acquired knowledge of genre in one language to write better compositions in another language. That's, again, taking the skills from the L1 and being able to transfer those into the L2. So again, in other words, explicit instruction of the features of genres might facilitate learning transfer and make a correlational bridge between L1 and L2 writing skills, which could not otherwise occur easily. So how does it work? Typically, we focus on two related areas for teaching: genre knowledge and genre awareness. The genre-specific knowledge is what a writer or a reader knows about specific genres and what they know about the concept of genre in the general sense. This includes the form of a genre, how to effectively act within that context, knowing what you're supposed to do, knowing how you're supposed to carry it out, and whatever content knowledge is necessary. And then genre awareness is a conscious attention to genres and their potential influences on people, and the ability to consider acting differently within genres. So it's a kind of metacognitive knowledge, understanding the specific genres and genre as a concept. This is a chart that shows the connection between genre awareness and genre knowledge from one of my sources, Christine Tardy. She says, within our genre awareness, we have knowledge of multiple specific genres. Genre awareness thus informs our genre-specific knowledge, which is also part of our broader genre awareness. So it all kind of works together. And she gives some kind of big principles and important things to keep in mind when you're implementing genre-based writing instruction. She says that it begins with the assumption that writing is shaped by its social groups, intended actions, and settings, all of which lead to the development of genres. So, writing involves identifying and responding to the unique demands of a given situation. When we teach genre-based writing, it's essentially an approach to teaching that provides students tools for understanding the text, not just as texts themselves, but as genres, and gives them tools for analyzing them and using the insights that they get from analysis in their own writing. So she says that when we teach genre-based writing, we need to remember that writing is flexible, it's goal or action driven, and it's linked to social context and communities. It's not isolated, it's connected to things. She says that students should read, write, and explore relevant genres, which makes sense. We don't want to spend all of our time on things that the students are never going to use. Awareness raising sensitizes students to the conventions of genres and their rhetorical effects. It's important to show them like how these things in each genre are accomplishing their purposes. Student-driven exploration of genres deepens their rhetorical consciousness. So when you give, your students a text and ask them to look at it and figure out what kind of genre it is, that's going to help them to learn how to be more aware of those different elements that make up the genre. And then scaffolding instruction helps to make the complexity of genres more approachable. And that, is for a lot of our EL stuff. Scaffolding is really important. One of the things that I think about with genre-based writing is that it kind of gives you a fuller picture of writing. Genre-based writing instruction can help ELs get a more thorough grasp on writing in different contexts. It can help students not only notice linguistic features and rhetorical structures, but also understand, again, why they're writing, who they're writing for, how they should be writing in order to accomplish some specific purpose. When you engage with these bigger ideas, and you give students the tools to interact with them, I think that it lets them more easily transfer back and forth between their L1 and their L2 writing. Because, again, they're thinking about the whole picture and they're taking those different skills from their first language and bringing it into what they're doing with their new language and vice versa. I think teaching writing like this can be helpful. And even if the students have a hard time with actually writing at first, this kind of writing instruction can open the door to have really good conversations with the students as they process these ideas and start to transfer from their L1 to English. So when they're talking about different skills and you're examining a text, you can have those conversations of, well, what is it that they're doing that's effective here? And how can we do that in our writing? And things like that.